What's going on, guys? So I want to kind of weigh in on this whole Fender debacle that's happening right now. It's a huge hot button issue, and I think some people are kind of blowing it out of proportion. Some people may not fully understand all aspects of what's going on with this issue, and I just want to kind of shed some light and give you my 2 cents on the whole topics, because I think it is a hot button issue right now, and it's got the whole guitar community up in arms and kind of confused as to what to do. Is there loyalty? Is there not? And I think that Fender, unfortunately, with these cease and desist letters that they've sent out to various international manufacturers, I feel like they've kind of shot themselves in the foot. Now, I'll explain why. But first and foremost, they're a company in business to make money. Yes, this is the whole cycle of capitalism. That's the whole purpose of going into business, right? Is not only to produce something that people want or need, but it's to make money doing it. So we understand that. Now, Fender has been in business for decades. They've been making millions and billions of dollars for decades because they are one of the legacy brands out there. They're one of the biggest, if not the very biggest guitar manufacturer in the world already. So this latest kind of money grab thing that they're kind of doing doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because I feel like they're trying to do something in the short term that's going to hurt them in the long term. Let me explain. So short term, they're hoping to scare various other manufacturers that produce guitars that look like a Stratocaster. That's their own take on a Fender Stratocaster. They're trying to scare them so that they'll discontinue making those products, discontinue selling them altogether, and then essentially Fender would have a monopoly on the product that they originated. So it's understandable that they're trying to protect their intellectual property, but let's be honest, they haven't done this for decades, right? They're just suddenly doing it now. There's new management, or relatively new management, in the C-suite, up at the top of Fender Corporation, and they're trying to make some moves because they're trying to justify, maybe a slack in sales. Maybe they're trying to justify the higher cost of doing business. Maybe they're trying to justify the CEO's salary, for all I know. I mean, we don't really know the inner workings of necessarily why they're trying to do this. They're simply trying to make more money in the short term. However, shooting yourself in the foot by doing something that's kind of, I don't know, I guess I would call it shady, only because they didn't do this from the beginning. They didn't do this continuously over the decades. They're just doing this now. Now that there are so many other smaller manufacturers producing Strat-like copies and doing very well with them, some of them are very high quality, I think that Fender's concerned about their market share. I've seen this in other industries, and every time some new player comes up with a great product at a lower cost point, the big dog, the top of the chain there, that company, that corporation is always going to feel like they have to safeguard their profits to ensure that they continue to kind of maximize them, right? So, on paper, it seems like it makes sense to them, I guess. But for those of us that are loyal to Fender, or were loyal to the company because we love their products and played their guitars for years and years, myself included, it kind of leaves us feeling like, what do we do now, right? You fell in love with the guitar for one reason or another. I mean, let's be honest. Stratocaster, that's the reason I picked up the guitar. In 1990, when I went to the guitar store, that is the shape and look and feel of a guitar. That's all I knew, was a Stratocaster, right? So I learned how to play the guitar on a Strat. It's been my favorite guitar, and I will never, ever get rid of it. I feel like, what am I supposed to do? Should I feel ashamed for playing a Fender? Should I feel ashamed for, perhaps promoting them if they were to come to me and say, hey, can you do some, content for us? Would I say yes? Would I say no? I'm not really sure. I'm confused as to what side to be on, but I will tell you this. They have, in the past, made great guitars. They have currently made some great guitars. They have also made some lesser quality guitars, let's say. I mean, there's been a lot of talk from people out there, especially in the guitar YouTube community, about people getting kind of lower quality or, just quality deficient guitars. And at the price point that Fender sells their guitars for, you don't really expect to see that anymore at this current day, right? I mean, it's like, if you're going to pay $2,000 or more for any instrument, you expect it to be basically flawless, right? I mean, it might not be built by a master craftsman with, rare woods and all this stuff, but you expect it to come off the assembly line flawless, in great playing condition, no issues whatsoever. And that just isn't the case all the time. They still do make nice guitars. Yes, they still play really great. But, there are times when people get a kind of a subpar guitar. So meanwhile, a lot of these smaller brands, a lot of these lesser known brands or boutique brands, call them what you will, they're making their own Strat copy, their own Strat style guitar because they know that that's the shape that most people that play the guitar gravitate towards. That's what they're going to go for, is that Strat body. It's like the most iconic, shape for guitar that there is, other than a Les Paul. But we're not talking about that in this video. So yeah, all these other companies are they supposed to be scared? Are they supposed to be concerned? Will they comply with this cease and desist letter? I think that remains to be seen. Maybe some will, some won't. I think that just the scare tactic of there will be further litigation if you do not stop producing Strats can scare a lot of people, especially if you're a smaller company. You make a small amount of profits, but you enjoy what you do. You love producing great guitars. Some of these companies are going to stop doing it. They're just, what would you do? If you were somebody making a couple $1,000s a year, just covering your budget, covering your payroll and your overhead, and not making a lot of profit yet. You're not really like rolling in the dough because let's say you're a newer company or just a smaller company. But I think that Fender has to realize sooner rather than later that, this kind of thing was going to get out. They had to know when they released the cease and desist letter and sent it out all over the world to different companies, they had to realize the backlash that might occur. Maybe somebody in their P&R, department was thinking, hey, bad news, good news, any news is good news because it just brings the company to mind. But I don't think that works in this industry at all. I think bad news is simply bad news, nothing else. And this is going to hurt them. I'm going to get past all this. I just want to enjoy the instrument. I want to enjoy making music and not be like, feel slighted one way or the other when I pick up a certain guitar. So if I pick up my Strat going forward, should I feel a certain way about it when I'm playing it? Or should I feel embarrassed or humiliated, or I don't know, you pick your adjective, but I feel like it's not a good thing for Fender to do. They're going to lose a lot of customers going forward, or they're just going to leave a bad taste in our mouths, right? So next time you go to possibly think about buying a Stratocaster, a Fender, and you go to your guitar store, or even if you buy one used, you might think twice, and you might think, you know what, it's not worth it. I don't want the hassle of my friends or my, whoever making fun of me because I bought a Fender Strat or I play a Fender Strat. And maybe you'll buy something else, or maybe you'll buy a used Strat from another manufacturer, a Strat copy, a Strat style guitar from someone else. And maybe that guitar will play better. Maybe it has better quality control. Maybe it's got better components or nicer woods and it costs less money. I always say this, and I've said this for years, with any company that wants to, maximize their profits and make a lot of money, you have to get your customer base to fall in love with you or fall in love with your products first and foremost before you do anything new like raise prices, change the style, the look of it. Same thing can be said for the automobile industry. You can't just build it and they will come necessarily. You have to build your customer base first. You have to take your customer and your employees first and foremost if you want to make money in the long run. And if it means in the short term you make a little lower profit margin, for a year or two or a couple of quarters, do that. Because in the long run, that'll pay you back in spades. That's how you make more money in the long term if you are a big corporation like Fender. They can afford to make lower profit margins in the short term. Let's say that I'm just making up numbers. Let's say they're making 15% net profit, every fiscal year. Well, let's say that next year they go down to 10 or 12%, right? Just go a little bit lower so you can kind of maintain your pricing, maybe up your quality control a little bit, spend a little bit more money in that department, or maybe move your manufacturing to a better site, a better facility that does better quality overall. And I think you'll see a lot of customers coming back to the brand and you'll get a lot more sales that way. But this kind of short-term scare tactic, this kind of mafia tactic where they're just trying to scare people out of business or scare them to not make this product anymore, that's just a bad move. It's just bad business. And I think that whoever made that decision at Fender probably is an inexperienced, whatever department they are, or whatever their title is. If it's a CEO or if it's somebody in their marketing department, whoever finalized that decision and put it out to the world, that was a bad decision. I think that person is probably pretty inexperienced when it comes to how to run a business. A good business model, first and foremost, has to be lock in your customers, get them to love you, get them to love your product or service, and then worry a bit, later on about kind of cranking up the prices or, doing whatever you have to do, or maybe using slightly lower quality woods or components, but let the people know. Be transparent about it the whole way through. I think will help you to ensure that you kind of keep your customer base and grow your customer base in the long run. And Fender just, in the short term, this move was kind of a dick move. It just was, it didn't make any sense. I think it's, I wouldn't say it's deplorable. It's business, right? Business is business. It's not personal. But when it comes to something like creative industries, in art, in artistic expression and building musical instruments to create art, in that industry, it's destructive, because we don't want to be concerned with the business aspect of anything. We just want to pick up a guitar that we love, that has great quality to it, great build. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg to purchase. Something that we can aspire to buy for $1,000, $1,500, some reasonable price. But when you start selling guitars for, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, and you have to pay that much money in order to get a perfectly built guitar from that company, something's wrong. Nobody out there, anyone watching this video, nobody should be paying $5,000 or close to it to ensure that you get a great guitar. You should get a wonderful, great playing instrument. It might not be the best components in the whole world, but something that is, you can appreciate playing it for, $500 to $1,000. That doesn't seem unreasonable to me, even in the current day and age, even with inflation and tariffs and this and that. Yes, I realize that the components, all of the building, the woods and everything that goes into a guitar, those prices have gone up across the board. So I realize that, maybe they have to boost the pricing on all their guitars by 5, 10, 15%. Okay, but be transparent about it. Let us know what's going on. This whole move of trying to scare every other company out of business and kind of monopolize this whole thing, after decades of not doing so, it's just a bad move. And the Fender Strat is the reason why I picked up the guitar in the first place. And I'm not going to turn my back on that, because that whole ethos of, that was the rock world for me. The Stratocaster was the entire reason that I exist in this whole YouTube thing to begin with. That's the whole reason I picked up the guitar. I mean, Jimi Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton, David Gilmour, blah, blah, blah. You can go on and on forever. Rock gods, these are rock gods of the pantheon of 20th century music. They all played the Stratocaster. They all played a Fender Stratocaster. And it's my favorite instrument. It's been my favorite guitar since, I first bought it. And I will always keep this instrument and always cherish it. Going forward, I don't know what Fender's going to do. I hope that they rescind this whole cease and desist thing. It was just a bad move. It wasn't well thought out. Maybe it should have been put to a board or put to a vote before they, finally unleashed it to the world. But who knows? Who knows what's going on in the inner workings of the company? We'll never know. But if they can dig themselves out of this hole, that would be great, because, I hate to kind of drop my loyalty to a brand that's meant so much to me since my young years. It's just really unfortunate. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. I know everyone's talking about this topic right now. It's a hot button issue. And, do you love Fender? Do you hate them? Did you like them before this? Do you own Strats? Is that all you play? Have you never played one before? Let me know your thoughts and comments down below. I really appreciate it, guys. And make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you have not already. And until the next video, I'm out of here. See ya!